Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of reading Layamon Brut. Last time, the King of France, Aganapus, who is also Cordelia's husband, gave King Lear an army. So Lear and Cordelia then went back to Britain, and they put down any resistance they met and re-established Lear as King of Britain. Lear died, and then Cordelia succeeded to the throne after him, and so she is now Queen of Britain. After a few years pass, though, she receives word from France that her husband Aganapus has died and that she is now a widow. So we pick up today at line 1865. Daar komen the tidende to Scotland's kinge that Aganapus was dead, Lear king gedied. He sendde thorch Brutine into Cornwall, and hechte dan Duke Stronge herjen in Southlande. And he would be northern Iachnian the Londa. For it was swither muchel shome, and eke swither muchel grama, that should a queen ben king in this land. And her sonnen ben buten, the weren here betteren, of than andere susteren, that the other land solden hebben, nulla way hit na mori tholian, all that land where willeth haben. Her begonnen were, one come on weste, and there quena suster sonnen sumne den ferde. Then came the tidings to the King of Scotland that Aganapus was dead, that King Lear was dead. The King of Scotland, remember, is the husband of Lear's eldest daughter, and so Cordelia's eldest sister, Goneril. He, this King of Scotland, sent throughout Britain into Cornwall and commanded the strong Duke to raid in the Southland. And the Duke of Cornwall is the husband of Lear's second daughter, Regan, or Regau as she's named in the Brut, and so the other older sister of Cordelia. And he, the King of Scotland, would come to own, take possession of the lands in the north. For it was a very great shame, and also very great cause for anger, at least, so far as these two characters are concerned, that a queen should be the king in this land, literally. So essentially that a woman would be the ruler. They are pretty outraged and scandalized by that. This next line I find a little bit ambiguous, so we'll break it down, but it says, and their sons be without, who were her betters. Now, I'm not sure if the relative particle here, the, is relativizing sons or their. So the sons of them who were her betters, referring either to the King of Scotland and the Duke of Cornwall, or to the two older sisters who are mentioned in the next line as well, or if it's saying that the sons were the betters of Cordelia. In either case, the sisters are mentioned right here. So of the sons of the elder sisters, those who should have the power, the rule of the land. Now we shift into direct speech here as the two conspirators speaking say, we will not suffer it any more. We will have all the land. End of direct speech. They began to war. Destruction or misery came quickly. This is perhaps misleading here, the W. This is fast, not west. And the queen's sister sons, so her nephews, gathered an army. Her nomen waren haten dus, Morgan and Cunadagius, oft her leden verde, oft her fuchten, oft her weren bovene en ofte benuthen, that kom at den laste that her was allerløvest. The Brut is her slogen, Cordelia her nomen, her duden her in quaterne, in anequale huse. Her werdede her modri, mare than her sulden, that the women was swa roth, that hier sulven her was laaf. Her noom en a longne knief, and benoom selven that lief. That was an ovelrad, that hier sulven maakte dead. There was al this kinneland and morgen and kunnedagius hond, her fengen to this en land, and mid fuchten hier bewonnen. Their names, so these two nephews of Cordelia, their names were called thus, Morgan and Kunnedagius. Often they led the army, often they fought. Often they were above, so sometimes they got the better of it, and often beneath, so sometimes they got the worst of it. So that it came at last that which was dearest of all to them, so what they most wanted. They slew the Britons, they took Cordelia. They put her in prison, in a prison house. Oh no, sorry, this is still referring to them, this is the plural pronoun. They injured or harmed their aunt more than they should. So that the woman, Cordelia, was so, we could translate this as angry, but I think distraught or distressed is probably going to capture the sense of it a bit better. She was so distressed that she was hateful to herself. She took a long knife and took from herself the life. That was an evil counsel, that was an evil decision, a terrible decision, that made herself dead. Then was all this kingdom in Morgan and Kunnedagius's hand. They took to this land and conquered it with fight, so with battle. Daar delden the brother and al this drichtliche land, Kunnedagius be there a humbre, haved al that west, Morgan haved a north and east. And zwa her helden al this land, alle the 2 jere on her hond. Daar the 2 year weren gone, daar twinneden her thonkes. Morgan was in Scotland, then a north end he haved an a hond. In a Cornwall, Kunnedagius he haved a money good house. Morgan havde an hirde, swither money knichtes. The ne lovede nocht das lurden, ach leith her him weren. Then the brothers divided all this lordly land. Kunnedagius had all the west from the Humber. Morgan had north and east. And so they held all this land, all the 2 years in their hand. When the 2 years were gone, then something happened here, and this is an interesting word. So Rosamund Allen and Baron and Weinberg read it as twinnen, which it looks like and may very well be, which means to, well, pretty much what it sounds like, to divide, to twin, so their thoughts divided. However, the Middle English Dictionary glosses it as twirnen, which means to doubt, and it's a word that we've actually seen before, unless that word was also twinnen, much earlier when Membricius was giving his speech to the Trojans, urging them to make the decision to embark on a quest to search for a new homeland, back when they had their council after defeating the Greeks. Now, when it showed up there, it was describing the people debating with one another, so that may also have been twinnen. However, the Middle English Dictionary glosses it as twirnen, meaning to be doubtful. Madden takes this as changed, so he translates this as their thoughts changed. So whether or not their thoughts changed or their thoughts divided, I'm probably more inclined to agree with Baron and Weinberg and Rosamund Allen. I think that twinnen is more likely here, but perhaps there is something that I am not aware of, which would make the other reading more probable. So in any case, their thoughts are dividing. They are diverging from one another. So Morgan was in Scotland. He had the north part in hand. Cunadagius, he had many a good house in Cornwall. Morgan had in his household, or in his court, very many knights who loved not this people, but they, the people, were hateful to them, these knights in the household of Morgan. Her talden with Morgan, and his knichtship talden, and thus him to siden the unselimon. Lavert Morgan, hui nolt du faren en fusen dine ferden en faren jönd al Brutland, and niemen hit to dere hond, thereof we habeth shom, and at ur herte muchel gram, that thou dalest this land, the schulde burn o dere hond, thou ert a swa hindegom, and their eldre susterson, dalest thine land with thine mai, the monship is the lasse. Thus speken their swiken, and spilleden mid worde, swa long her in hine lerte, that he herm I levede. They spoke with Morgan. The idea here is perhaps more confrontational. This word, of course, can mean with, but it also often means against, which is its earlier sense. So they spoke against Morgan. They're confronting him, and spoke against his knightship. And thus they said to him, the unfortunate man, Lord Morgan, why will you not go and hasten your army and go throughout all Britain and take it to your hand? Because of that we have shame and much anger in our heart that you divide your land, or share your land, which should be, this land rather, not your land, this land, which should be in your hand. You are so good, so noble a man, and son of the elder sister. You divide your land with your kinsman, your manship, your manliness is the less. End of direct speech. Thus spoke these traitors, and spoke with words. They instructed him so long that he believed them. He gathered de verde, he was vriendelijke stoor. He verde over the Humbre, and Hermes he workte. He herkede de he brande, volk he merde. He slogen he nomen, al that he neer komen. Dat woord kom sonne sooth, for it was Wiedenkoth, that Morgan ledde muchele here, and Hermes doede thus leerden. Da I hørte Cunadagius that Morgan is my verde thus. Da I werd he switho wrath, and thus word side. Yet singe, worth they wa, many a mon thou be cherest. Thurk they haveth Morgan me my, his monship affalet. Ach he shall hit a budgen, if each mote liben. He, Morgan, gathered his army, which was fiendishly strong, incredibly strong, although perhaps we could read store here as violent. He went over the Humber, and he wrought harms. He harried or raided, he burned, he destroyed people, he slew, he took all that they... this is plural now, referring to the army. So they slew and they took all that they came near. The word came south soon, for it was widely known that Morgan led a great army and did harms to this people. When Cunadagius heard that Morgan, his kinsman, went thus, then he became very wrathful, very enraged, and said this word. Coveting or envying, he's addressing the sin of envy. So envy, woe, may woe come about to you. Many a man you lead astray. Because of you, my kinsman, Morgan, has felled his manship, laid low his manliness, but he shall pay for it, if I may live. Tha nom Cunadagius and send yearned his kuther, and gathered muchel folk, and jerwede his verde. He fuzzede mit monschippe toward Morgana his maaie. Daher schulden vechten, da flech Morgan away, from Londe to Londe, and he him after liefde. Into Wales he vlag, he him after verde. There he oft took Morgan, mit muchele strengthe, and sloeg he him of that haved, his hap was the worse. And all his men slowen, that her neeg komen, but in whilch ratchas wa quick, quachte to holde. Then Cunadagius took, and we would need to understand or infer the object, messengers, and sent throughout his land, his homeland, and gathered a great people, and prepared his army. He hastened with manliness, with honour, towards Morgan his kinsman. When they must fight, when they should fight, then Morgan fled away from land to land, and he, Cunadagius, went after him, Morgan. He, Morgan, flew into Wales, and he, Cunadagius, went after him, Morgan. There he, Cunadagius, overtook Morgan with great strength, and struck, slew, chopped, or he, Cunadagius, chopped off the head from him, Morgan. And we get this really serious sort of understatement. His fortune was the worse. Now that he doesn't have a head. And they slew all his, Morgan's men, that they came near, except for such wretch as caught, this is the word caught, meaning to sort of snatch away, so who caught themselves away, escaped alive to refuge. Her nomen Morganus liete, and leid hit on Urthen, will her hina buriden, the was des Wales lavert. West that lond thurch Morgan i haten, Cunadagius hevede al this lond, thereof he was lavert. Thro and 30 wintere, he wilde das riche, in a grieth and in a friethe, his frienden to blisse. A Cunadagius douwe, the king was on lerde, Remus and Romulus Rome I vrochten, beine I weren I broteren, achter aan sloeg den otheren. They took Morgan's body and laid it in the earth. They buried him well, so they gave him a good burial. He who was lord of this Wales, that land was called Morgan because of Morgan. Cunadagius had all this land, thereof he was the lord, so he's the lord of it. He ruled this kingdom for 33 winters, so 33 years, in peace and in peace. His friends, to the joy of his friends, to the happiness of his friends. In Cunadagius's day, who was king among the people, Remus and Romulus established Rome. They were both brothers, but the one slew the other. Right, well, as ever, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And you can do that either by way of the comment section below or on the Facebook page for the video series, which you'll find linked in the video description. But all the best, and I'll see you next time.